Hang in there. That Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to The Smylie Show. He is Smylie Kaufman. I am Charlie Hulme. If you're listening to this podcast and you're wondering why I'm doing my best Hush Tones ASMR edition, or if you're watching this podcast and wondering why I'm sitting in what appears to be some sort of a broom closet with a odd, like, harsh lighting in my face, it's because right over here, my wife's sitting in a hospital bed, and just beyond my wife, actually my wife's arms right now, it's my brand new baby daughter. We have a little girl, Smylie. I mean, I'm thrilled to be part of the girl dad club now.
Come on, let's go. Let's go. I'm yelling in my inside voice. Let's go. Come on. How good is that?
It's the best, man. It is. We've been doing baby watch here on the show for a couple weeks now. And we thought maybe it was going to come last week. She held out, important update. She held out till after the men's league semifinals, which we won. So big update there. For show purposes, she held out until after President's Cup. That was a big win there. And yeah, I mean, a bunch of stuff happened in golf this week, but I've, watched a lot of it without sound. Don't really know what's going on because I've just been hanging out in Duke Hospital, having this little baby. So
you're about to be tuned into fall golf, unlike any other fall that you've ever been a part of, because you're just dying for anything to come on the TV the first couple weeks.
We watched a lot of sports this weekend. We watched all my teams lost. North Carolina football is just I really hate that she had to see that. Her mother's alma mater, Virginia Tech women's soccer, beat the defending national champions Florida State today.
Okay.
While she was wearing a little Virginia Tech onesie. So that was good.
We'll count that as a win. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're first off, welcome to Team Girl Dad. I think all of those here that are on Team Girl Dad, welcome Charlie. It's an elite group. It's a group that we give in early, but we definitely want to. We keep our foot in the sand, if you know what I mean.
I love that. There are a lot of things, but let's just start with the fact that the first person on the show to have a live visual with my baby girl, Kadik. That's the thing. It's a family name. Her name's Kadik. We might call her Katie. We might call her Casey. Still workshopping some stuff, but the first person was not Smylie. Was not Jackson. Was not Brian. It was Corey Conners. It's the first person to meet my baby. As I was sitting in the lobby of our recording platform waiting for you two to do the interview, and he was just kind of sitting alone while we got set up. Oh, hey, Corey, just letting you know Smylie be back. Here's my newborn child. So good to see you. So good to meet you. So I love that. I will say on a serious note, Smylie, that first, like when they took her out and the nurses were cleaning her up and she had her little hand wrapped around my finger. Like, you're looking forward to being first of all, a dad, my son. That was amazing. But the girl dad thing, it was just like, oh, wow, my heart is completely melting. And I can't wait to watch this little girl grow up. It's the sweetest thing. And she's such a sweetheart, man. Mm-hmm. It is. It's an indescribable feeling. And I'm so glad to be part of the club.
Has Walker had a chance to meet little Kadik yet?
Walker. So picked up Walker today, brought him here. Very, very sweet. He's turning 2 in a couple weeks, but he's got a few words. So he knows he comes in, he points there and said, baby. So we're like, yeah, very good. And he, and he wanted to get up and see mama. And he handed a little stuffed animal to her. He had a little stuffed bumblebee that he put in her lap. We're like, oh, it's so sweet. And so he's sitting there, and then, he's watching her with Amanda holding her. And he just points at her and looks at me. He says, go by. I said, unfortunately, Walker, she will not be going by. She's your sister. She's here to stay. But it was a good try. It was a nice effort.
We've called a good start with maybe a slight hiccup there, but we'll take it, Walker.
He was pretty sweet. I think he's going to take some time to get adjusted to it. Also, I got to laugh too. This is probably the most of our podcast my wife's ever heard in our entire lives. So
same with my probably our
live record.
Same with my wife. So for those of you that are listening, I think we all send congrats over to Charlie and Amanda for their new baby, and also I think you got to respect the hustle. You got to respect the hustle with the man right now. Brought his pod equipment to the hospital. I thought for sure we would just be using some AirPods, but no, we got the equipment.
We got the full equipment. Last hospital note before we move to a little bit of golf talk is least comfortable chair in America as we build it in the lead up. Was worried about this in a big way. This baby arrived. We spent an entire night not sleeping. So we got to the hospital a little after 10
right
on the 4th.
You texted me 4:45, I think.
And this baby did not yet. This baby arrived at 5:04 a.m. on Saturday. So no sleep that night, and then stayed up with her the entire day. So this last night of sleep, I'm like, man, I'm sleep deprived, and I got to sleep in this chair. And I have to say, I will give credit where credit's due. The chair, I got in a good spot. I reclined it. Maybe it was because I was so tired. I got pretty solid sleep last night.
Okay.
So
a good
shout
spot.
out to the chair. Shout out to the chair. Yeah.
Fran,
good work.
Fran has a great video of me like getting a sneaky workout in on day 3 of being in the hospital. I was doing hip mobility drills with one of the towels that you could kind of see through, like one of those terrible hospital towels that I was using as hip mobility. So I was driving my knee to my chest and out and around trying to get some hip mobility, because you can't be leaving that hospital not having your equilibrium perfect as you carry that Duna out for the first time. But now, at least for you, all the new baby equipment, you got to relearn how to do it. But at least you do know how to do a lot of it.
Yeah, it was. I realized I completely forgot everything involved with taking care of an infant child, swaddling, how diaper changes for tiny little babies, like all those sorts of things. Like, how do we do this again? But it's coming back quickly.
That diaper's crazy. That first couple of weeks, I think I remember it being super sticky. Like it was, had a word they called it too, that it was not poop. It was, I can't remember. It was a scientific name for what they call infant poop.
And we are not a science pod, so that's where we'll stop on describing infant poop. But it is different. There's a lot of extra work that goes in there. But listen, every moment of it's been worth it. So appreciate the congratulations, Smylie, and everyone's well wishes that's reached out from show perspective, fan perspective. You all are the best. Loving it. Maybe heading home tomorrow. I'll say this, Smylie. I've been watching the golf I have seen on mute this week, while the baby's been sleeping. First of all, saw Tyrrell Hatton won the Dunhill. So for me, that bodes incredibly well for another top 10 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational this next year. I think he's going to play great at Bay Hill. So I love seeing that. I was following Corn Ferry Tour Finals a little bit. It was kind of fun to see those 30 guys that earned their tour cards. Really enjoyed last year previewing that crop of rookies that came to the tour with James Nitties, and just talking about guys like Jake Knapp that burst onto the scene. So there's definitely some names in that group. I'm excited to make their tour debut this next season. Aldrich Potgeider, the South African kid, I think that kid's got all the talent in the world, super young. So excited for that. But the last thing I saw was the finish at the Sanderson, man. And you almost nailed another one and done pick outside of one and done season. I just feel terrible for Keith Mitchell.
Yeah. And it was tough because he made such a good stroke on that first putt, to where, it sneaks by that 4.5 foot range. And I think everybody's thinking the same thing. And that's the hardest thing as a player, to, be that close to winning the tournament, to then having to reset later in the day, uphill putt, Bermuda grain, could go left, could go right. You play it out on the left edge and it doesn't move. And I'm gutted for Keith, because he's a player that, when you go look at the data and the stats, he's a guy that, I want to see, him have more opportunities. I think you can put him in a group of, 5 to 10 players, and Keith would be in the top of that list of players who I'd just feel like have been right on the outside looking in this new PGA Tour system. And, credit to him. He's gone and played events, for instance, in Reno right after the Open Championship. So he has, he could, say, hey, this system isn't right. It's not fair. Well, I got to give Keith a lot of credit, because he's gone and played events that maybe other guys would say, you know what, I'm better than that. I don't need to play in those events. But Keith has gone and played those events. And for instance, this fall has an opportunity to go play his way into that next 10 category to try to get early signature events. And like we saw with plenty of players last week, or last year. All it takes is a good week in one of those signature events early to set your season up. For a player like Keith that can drive it as well as he can, you got to look out for a guy like that, get off to a hot start. And I'm sure he's made quite a bit of a jump, finishing in third, but still a bit of way to go, I imagine, through the end of the fall. And I imagine he wants to try to get a win locked up so he can take some time off, but very tough. And Kevin Yu did win in a playoff against Bo Hosmer, which we did have a wild ruling situation unfold. I don't know if you saw the Bo Hosmer ruling situation. Shall I walk you through it?
Please do, because I was looking at the clock and realizing the hospital cafeteria closed and was like, oh, okay, let's go make sure that everyone gets fed tonight. So please walk me through the ruling.
Yeah, all right, so Bo hits it left off the tee, and him and Keith are tied. Kevin Yu is in the house at 23. A birdie from either Bo or Keith wins. Keith's in the fairway right, Bo is left, stymied behind a tree. And on line with the pin is a tree 2 feet in front of him. So he was close enough to the tree to where it would have to take some insane, miraculous 80-yard slice to be able to get something near the green. And he brings over a rules official and says, so this hospitality over here to the left that lines the green, can I take a drop from that? And he was arguing that hospitality was in the way of where he wanted to play the shot, I think if he could have made a case if the pin was back right, but because it was tucked left, there's just no case to be made there. It's like, you got to play out to the fairway. That shot's not reasonable. So I thought it was, he first off, he asked for a second opinion, which I thought was like, I think when we're begging a little bit too much here to try to get this drop. So ends up playing it out to the fairway, gets it up and down for par with, I don't know how far he had, maybe 100, 130 yards or something like that. Almost made it with the wedge shot, and then taps in for par. He actually hit. So Keith's lag putt was outside of Bo's wedge shot. So Keith misses. Oh, wow. Bo goes in the playoff, hits it left off the tee. Kevin Yu hits a fairway, sticks it inside of 4 feet, makes a birdie putt.
So are you telling me that the result of the playoff maybe was a little bit of ball don't lie situation after Bo was begging for the relief?
The ball don't lie. The karma gods actually were on his side in this, and the fact that he didn't take the drop because getting up and down for par was definitely a golf god karma type of situation. So. Okay. I think we were at even playing field. Now, he may have been down one to social media going to the playoff, Bo was, but I think morally, himself, when he showed up on the tee, he was all square in the playoff. Just happened to see Kevin Yu hit 3, or I should say 2 really nice shots. And why is Sanderson Farms like always electric at the end, by the way?
Oh, I was going to say a couple things on that. I mean, last year it was like a 6-way playoff. Yeah, that right?
I thought I was going for that. I thought I was going to be there overnight, and Luke List made that long putt. And I'm like, Luke, I love you. Great putt. And I was out of there.
And I guess that just makes me think on the topic of Keith Mitchell, just seeing how upset, obviously he was to have not made it into the playoff and had a chance to win. But we saw Ludwig Oberg, part of that 6-man playoff. Luke List, of course, wins. And then what's Ludwig do at the end of the fall? Wins the RSM. So other opportunities for Keith to get it done, even though he doesn't get it done this weekend. And Kevin Yu, this is a guy that we were talking before the show about. And I just, recall he had a hot start to this calendar year. Great ball striker. Not the greatest putter in the world, but I think
a good putter.
It's a formula where if the putter does get hot, he can be in and around it any given week. So, a deserving winner.
Yeah, strokes gained off the tee. If you're just trying to profile a golfer that you don't know much about, Kevin Yu, he's had 4 top 10s this year. Really hot start to the year, like you said. Amex and Sony media top 10s. But he's 13th in that off the tee category, putting 159. The data really shows it's a lot worse than that with the putter. But had a good week, I guess, this week with the putter to get to 23 under. So for Kevin, played at Arizona State. I'm not sure how. I assume he must have been an All-American there, but speaks good English. I just don't know Kevin. I haven't had an opportunity to speak with him, but I look forward to watching him play, because he's obviously an incredible ball striker and a player to look out for. When I think about Chinese golfers, Haotong Li is the guy that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Yuan's another that we've seen a little bit of. And, for such a big country, I wouldn't be surprised to see more and more Chinese golfers become, really nice, solid players out on the tour. Kevin Hughes seems to be kind of the next in line. Haotong's actually kind of found a little bit of his game. I saw he actually played DP World Tour this week. I think he played well.
Well, on a similar topic, and on the topic also of fathers and their children, watching Tyrrell win. I'm not even sure if Tyrrell played this weekend with his dad in the Dunhill, but I do remember when I was over in Scotland this summer, hearing a number of interesting stories involving Tyrrell's dad. And the gist of it essentially was, and listen, I think Tyrrell's hilarious, but just that Tyrrell's behavior on the course is very much a apple does not fall far from the tree situation. So I was really tickled seeing him win a third Dunhill, which is incredible. But just,
he's won his third Dunhill?
That's his third Dunhill win.
I didn't know that. I
believe, again, this is, baby arrival weekend, so don't hold me to this, but I believe he tied the course record of St. Andrews this week. So great playing for him. Things looking good for Legion 13.
Yes, indeed. And I'm looking to see
Legion 8. I don't know.
I'm looking to see where Tyrrell Hatton would have jumped to. They don't have the Dunhill up yet on OWGR because that's a huge week for a guy that's just trying to stay inside the top 50. When he went to Live, that was his last event on tour was the Sony, and he left at 15th. He's currently 38th. So winning at the Dunhill should be a big jump for him, probably back inside the top 25, you'd have to imagine, which gets him set for all the majors next year. So that was, I think you never know what's going to happen to these guys when they go, if they're going to go play in DP World Tour events. How are they going to keep their world ranking up if they have so little opportunities in the majors? So Hatton seems to have, taken a gamble, and it's, he's able to continue to play good golf. He's made a lot of money, and good on him, I guess.
Well, I will save the Corn Ferry Tour Championships deep dive for when we have a James Minties or someone like that.
I don't think Amanda quite wants to hear all 30 breakdown of the Corn Ferry Tour. We'll definitely, if not James Nitties, Shane Bacon would be another great guy to, get their ear on exactly what to expect from this crop, because looking through it, it's not quite as many names I'm familiar with. Guys, I've seen their names, but don't know them personally quite as much as the last class. So I'm actually really looking forward to doing that before the Sony when we start to see these guys week in, week out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was getting a lot of more reaction from that side of the room when I was talking about her daughter and son, but once we delved into Sanderson Farm, surprisingly not a ton of reaction coming from the hospital bed over there. So I think that's my cue to wrap things here. Maybe go change on their diaper or two. But
give Amanda an Air 5, man. And congrats to you, man. That's a lot of fun. There's no joy better than bringing kids into the world, and you're crushing already as a dad to Walker. I'm looking forward to seeing girl dad Charlie crush it as well. And forgive me, is that an LPGA hoodie? Is that what we're looking at here?
You are looking at a certified LPGA hoodie. I mean, I'm not trying to be the dad that is, going to force my kid into playing sports. She can do whatever she wants, but she came out very healthy, 10-pound baby. That's the other thing, 10 pounds. This girl was eating good in there. I think we got some athletic genes in the mix. We're going to be watching. I tell you what we're going to do.
She's got more ball speed than you already.
I think so. And we're going to do a lot of bottle feeds, whatever time of the night or day that we're doing, and watching LPGA Tour highlights, watching a little Nelly Korda, just a lot of Rosang, whoever we can kind of get our eyes on to start learning via osmosis. That's going to be my kind of play. So I thought I'd bring the LPGA sweatshirt to the hospital in honor of my future Tour Pro daughter. So that's what we're going with there.
Katie Hulme to the Hall of Fame. You heard it here first.
Here first, yes. It's going to be a nice clip to roll out someday. But yeah, no, I appreciate the well wishes, man. And this is a brief snippet. The rest of the show, very much looking forward to catching up on both the interviews you have lined up here. Because as mentioned, I did say hello to Corey Conners with my daughter in hand, but did not hear the rest of that interview. And you also have Taylor Pendrith coming on. So fired up to check out both of those, which are both coming up right now.
We've got the Kent State golf alumni team checked off our list. We already had Mackenzie Hughes on earlier this year. And, just doing Corey's interview was a fantastic conversation with Corey, just, about the President's Cup, about his golf game, and unfortunately hearing how easy it is for him to hit the golf ball and not think about it. So that was frustrating from my perspective, hearing, one of the best ball strikers in the world tell me how he does it. So you're going to have to listen for yourself to Corey. And Taylor is somebody that I've gotten to know a little bit better this year that I've heard is just socially fantastic. So I'm looking forward to hearing what Taylor has in store for us. And Oh Canada, I guess.
Oh Canada. Listen, one of the better anthems that's out there. I think it might be the best anthem. Excited to listen to both of those. I'm checking out now. I'm not checking out from the hospital. I'm checking out from this podcast. We'll see how long I stay here, and look forward to seeing you on the other side, buddy.
Yep. Godspeed, brother. All right. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Smylie Show. And I have a great guest on today. It's actually, we're going to have two Canadians on today. Our first is Corey Conners, joining us from where, Corey? Where are we at now?
Back in Jupiter, Florida. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Jupiter, Florida. So, Corey, we're going to definitely get into some President's Cup talk because I was there, had a front row seat to some incredible golf by not only you, but the rest of the international team, just coming up short against that strong American lineup. And we want to get into that a little later on. But I think, Corey, we got to start with just your journey in professional golf. I go back to your 2 PGA Tour wins, your first one, Monday qualifying at the Valero Open. And I played a practice round with you, I think on Tuesday, like after you Monday qualified. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? This guy's got it. And of course, you go on and win that week. So I had a pretty good feel for how your game was that week.
Yeah, I guess I had it. That was obviously a cool story and a cool way to get my first win. It was my second year on tour, and I already had some decent finishes, but I was playing out of a conditional category. So, I had to chase some Mondays. There was a little less pressure on me, I would say, on the Mondays because I did have some decent FedEx points racked up, but definitely a memorable week. And I do remember the practice round. It was cool to play a few holes with you.
Yeah, I just remember just how straight you hit the golf ball, and you've been hitting it straight for pretty much ever since you came on tour. That seems to be the strength of your game. I want to get into that as well. But I think the most interesting part about your journey up is where you started your collegiate, or where you played your collegiate golf, I should say, at Kent State. Taylor Pendrith, Mackenzie Hughes also on that team. How did all the Canadians end up at Kent State? I just have to know who was the one that got this train rolling.
Yeah, there's always been a little bit of a Canadian pipeline to Kent State. And I grew up playing junior golf with Mac Hughes, and I didn't know Taylor as well until we started at Kent, really. Became great friends there, lived together every year. But the coach, Herb Page, got to give him a shout out.
I saw him, by
Canadian.
The way. He was watching you guys at the President's Cup.
It was cool to be able to share that with him. He was pretty proud of his guys, and it was fun to have him there. And he was pretty pumped up. So I guess he's the reason, really. He recruited a lot in Canada, and like I said, playing some junior golf with Mac, he was a couple years ahead of me, and my mind was made up pretty early. I didn't really shop around much. It's just where I wanted to go. They had some good teams just before us, and knew we could kind of keep that momentum going. And it wasn't too far from home where I grew up in southwestern Ontario, just 5-hour drive or so.
Oh, that's great.
So it was kind of something as well. I've never really been away from home, and obviously did some traveling playing amateur and junior golf, but the commute was a nice thing. I was able to get back home a few times throughout the year, and I like that about it as well. But great program, great facilities, and Coach Herb Page did some awesome things, and give him a lot of credit to getting us to where we are today, alongside Taylor and Mac on tour now.
Yeah, it's fun to watch him. Yeah, definitely senior coach there. And the President's Cup was pretty cool. But I'm also curious too, Corey. So Canadian junior golf, Canadian amateur golf, and you go and play college golf with some of your friends, obviously, that you had played in those events and traveled around, I'm sure, the country with. What was that experience like growing up and playing Canadian junior and amateur golf? compared to maybe America, where it's much more of just like try to get in front of the coaches, I would imagine that Canada maybe was a little bit more of a system where Canada Golf is trying to get, these guys out to where they can eventually be on tour.
Yeah, there's not as many events in Canada growing up. They try and do a good job of creating some higher profile junior events. But up until, I guess, in my junior career, college was a goal. So I wanted to impress coaches, but I mean, I guess didn't really know what I needed to do for that. Just play golf, had fun. Right. They did have a good system in place, and the Canadian national team, I think I first got on the national team right around when I had committed to go to Kent State. So, they certainly helped develop me and, get me ready for college golf. But yeah, I don't know. I think just got, there's some big events, the Canadian Junior Championship and Canadian Amateur, played in a number of times, starting when I was like 14 years old. So I think those events had some college coach eyes there, but it certainly wasn't anything like the AJGA sort of program and the U.S. Junior. So yeah, I did played 0 AJGA events. I did play in California in the Callaway Junior Worlds.
Yep, you and I both.
I played with you at the U.S. Kids Golf Championship.
Okay.
In Jekyll Island, Georgia. I'll never forget this Southern guy named Smylie.
Wow. How about that? I did not know that we played together, but I remember playing at Jekyll Island. I still remember I got 6 because I was telling all my friends at school in the 2nd grade that I was the 6th best player in the world. Because, I mean, it was the U.S. Kids World Junior. It felt like, that was accurate at the time.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, you nipped me by a couple, but anyway.
Okay. God, I do. How good is that call back there from Corey? Yeah. I love that.
But yeah, they, I don't know, I guess did enough good stuff and got noticed by Herb anyways, and was off and running.
I'm a little bit curious about the national team, Corey. So you said you make the national team. What did that allow you to do? Was it, have the funding to go play in more junior golf? Was it having more access to coaches? What did that allow you to be able to do when you made that team?
Yeah, it's kind of an all-encompassing program, and it's maybe not for everybody. I grew up in a small town, really supportive parents, but, they didn't really know what direction they should be, advising me to go. So the national team, coaching resources, some extra money financially to help travel. We had training camps pretty much every month throughout the winter time to stay sharp, and just everything from nutrition, fitness, physio therapy, and great coaching. Still working with Derek Ingram, who is the national team coach. We've spent a lot of time together over the last, I guess, 16 years now. But it was a pretty big honor. Got to wear Canada shirt and carry the Canada bag at all the events. So it felt pretty cool as a junior. And I think the resources they offered to me was really, really helpful. But basically the sky's the limit. They've got everything in place we've got some training facilities now for the juniors in Canada. The programs continue to grow, but anything that you need, they're able to help with and provide guidance. And it's definitely a great asset for Canadian juniors who are at the elite level who have an opportunity to make the team.
Well, that's terrific. And I want to talk a little bit about Brandon Ingram and how he's helped your game since you were a junior to where you are now, because going through your stats from 2024 all the way back to when you got on the tour, I've never clicked year to year to year and seen the exact same stats year after year after year. You're a model of consistency for your own game. You know exactly what your game is and probably what you're going to have every day. Is that somewhat frustrating at times that you almost try to do too much to try to improve? Or do you just continue just to play Corey Conners golf and know exactly what you do?
Yeah, I think throughout my career, there have been, a few lessons that we've learned of trying to make some changes, and change a little bit too much and kind of gets me out of who I am. Who I am has, been successful. I still, have room to grow and I still am hungry to kind of get to that upper echelon, being a top player in the world. But, we've basically worked on the same stuff. We've learned making, big changes doesn't really translate, onto the golf course for me. Just got to continue to refine things. I feel like certain areas of my game have gotten more consistent. My off weeks are a lot better. And that's something that's important on tour as well. You go into a tournament or you don't quite have your best stuff, but, still have belief and still can find a way to get it done and give yourself a outside chance is nice. And I've been able to do that on some off weeks, over the past couple of years, especially. And just, basically our chats and, he'll send me a text before playing is just be Corey Conners. And I guess that's the easiest thing for me to do. And just,
Well, when I see I have Corey Conners on the sheet for the group I'm walking with that day, pretty much when you tee it up or you hit a shot, I pretty much know where it's going. It's pretty obvious. Like you're just such a consistent ball striker. So what are the things that you work on and what are just like, how many swing thoughts do you have? Do you have very few? What are your corrections that you make when you do get off? I'm always curious to talk to somebody that's so good at what they do of how they make corrections on the golf course.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is the rhythm. And I've always had really good tempo in my golf swing. And that's something that I've tried to continue as much as possible and something that I focus on, almost weekly, just trying to stay in that good rhythm. My tendencies start to creep in. I'm able to get on top of them a lot quicker, just having a little bit more experience. But, basically my swing thoughts are very minimal. I'd say only the first maybe foot away from the ball. And that's about it. Just trying to sort of get things synced up and, loading up behind. And I do think about trying to get a little bit more pressure on my right foot, my back leg being a righty.
Okay.
And just try and get that started in the first sort of foot of my swing. And from there, just have
good
the rhythm and hit it. Yeah.
Well, you need to rent a room inside my head for just a round of golf, and that'll really make you appreciate how little swing thoughts that you have versus sometimes what I'm battling, which is like 20 swing thoughts, and sometimes I'll go through all of them in the first 4 holes. But that I'm not going to bore you with that because we're not here to talk about that. As you're obviously one of the best at what you do, ball striking. So let's talk about the short game. Let's talk about the putting. 2 areas I feel like when you look at it, you have good weeks, but other weeks it seems like that's what your battle is. But you also hit a lot more greens than a lot of other people, and you have a lot more putts for birdie. So stats can be a bit skewing in that. But when you look at it in a grand scheme of things, how hard have you worked on that aspect of your game? And sometimes have you feel like you've overworked it to where you've had to think about that part of your game a little bit too much?
Yeah, I think in all the work I do, I try and be really smart about, what I'm doing, but I probably focus 25% of my time on ball hitting and 75% of the time on wedging and putting when I'm practicing. So it's been a huge area of, focus for me over the last number of years. And like you said, there have been some quite good weeks where maybe I haven't hit it good and my short game and putting have kind of bailed me out and allowed me to hang around. But yeah, it's tough as well to have great putting stats and around the green stats when you hit it really good because you don't get opportunities. If you make one mistake there, that your stats are, doomed for the day. You don't get a lot of opportunities to redeem yourself. And, with the putting, you could hit it to, 25 feet every day or every hole all day. And, make one of them and it looks like you had a very, blah putting day. And
right.
It's like you did, but not going to make a lot of, 20 plus foot putts. So I feel like the consistency has gotten better and I've turned my poor weeks in those areas better. My better weeks have been better as well, but it's still a work in progress, I guess. And it's kind of funny with my full swing and my routine, there's so much freedom and no thinking. And then, you get to some of those and trying to work on technical stuff so there's a balance I try and find of dumbing it down as much as possible, but also, trying to focus on things that I need to get better at.
Well, it's really interesting that you say that, because it's sometimes so easy to, have your mind occupied once you're trying to work on something to try to improve it, that it sometimes makes you worse. I feel that way sometimes, not practicing as much as I used to. And I feel like I haven't done a chalk line in 3 years, but I feel like my putting's just the same. And that kind of goes sometimes with putting, that it's having that freedom in putting with freedom sometimes is it's a fleeting thing to find, but once you find it, it's nice to ride it, but you just never know what you're going to have sometimes, I imagine.
Yeah, it's, there's definitely a lot of unknowns. And to your point, it's, I can take, a week off at home and, go out and play with some buddies and make everything. And I hadn't thought about putting. It just
doesn't make sense, right?
No. And then you go and grind every day, all day, and just can't put it in the hole on the golf course. So
is there anything technique wise? Is there like anything technique wise putting that you're, just constantly trying to work on? Or is it just as simple as just being a better green reader and being better with your speed?
I feel like my speed's always been really good. I am a little on the light side sometimes, which isn't great, especially when the greens get a little bit slower. But anytime the greens are fast, which is pretty typical of the tour events, my speed's usually really good. It's something that I do work pretty hard on, and every day in my warm up do a speed drill. But it's kind of, I just try and make sure everything's pretty neutral in my setup is a big thing for me. And I switched to left-hand low cross-handed putting a handful of years ago. And I think when I'm a left-handed writer, so I think my left hand is a little bit more dominant. And I think the left-hand low actually helped me there with the pace of my stroke and a little bit more freedom there. So that's something that's been a nice change, I would say, and helped with consistency and the strike. But a few of my tendencies is kind of coming up and out of putts. So trying to, stay pretty balanced and solid, and even feeling like I have a bit more weight on my front foot. To kind of get a better hit on it and get the ball rolling. So
that makes plenty of sense. And Corey, I saw you make some pretty dang big time putts at this President's Cup in some high leverage situations. So let's get there. I mean, it had to be a week that you have been looking forward to for a very long time to try to make this team, and you make the team on points. You played incredible in doing so. This year, was it difficult to keep your mind off of making this team? But I mean, you're currently on a streak of 30 straight made cuts and 22 out of 22 this year. So looking at the stats, I would say you weren't quite or too worried about it, because you played some incredible golf this year.
Yeah, I would never say I was really worried about it. Not saying I really didn't want to make the team, and I was thinking about it, quite a lot. But there was other things, to play for week in and week out. The big goal is to make the Olympic team. Got to represent Canada in the Olympics. Got it pretty close there. I just nipped Adam Hadwin by one spot on the world rankings after the U.S. Open when the cutoff was. So, it was nice to make that team as well. But, the President's Cup, just with everything, being in Canada, Mike Weir being the captain, someone I idolized and looked up to and have gotten close with over the last number of years. Huge goal to make the team, and huge honor to represent the internationals in my home country. And, the week was really, really special, really memorable. Definitely some moments that will be tough to top throughout my golf career, but disappointing not to bring the cup or win the cup for Mike Weir. But it was closer than the scoreboard. We battled hard, but some of the moments there, it's finally sunken in a little bit. Some of the moments were so special, and the fans and everyone behind me. I would say compared to Charlotte a couple of years ago, felt a lot more comfortable, in that atmosphere, and also helped knowing everyone was cheering us on. Everyone was behind us, and it was definitely a pretty cool experience.
Well, you've mentioned some moments. What were some of those favorite moments?
I think getting to partner up with Mac Hughes in the alternate shot, the foursome on Friday, we were vibing. I don't know if either of us have ever played better golf, and I think we were 7 under through 13 holes when we closed out the match, and it could have been better. But I think that the last shot that I hit there on 13 that day, a 5-iron, like 212 maybe to the hole, and came off the club, and I actually like hurt my hand club twirling so hard. I don't know if I've ever really club twirled, but I was walking off the tee like, dang, I like scraped my hand there. I was like, it must have been a good club twirl, but it felt so good coming off the face. I knew it was going to be really good, and Mac poured it in to get us a point. That was pretty sweet. And the same hole again on Sunday, everyone in the stands singing "Oh Canada." We got a 35-foot putt, down a slope, curling a lot. They finish up saying, "Oh Canada," as I'm getting ready to step into the ball. And the only thing going through my head is I'm making this putt and put it in. That was a really cool, special moment as well.
I mean, I saw this majestic 5-iron you hit because I'm calling the shot as it's in the air. And I just said it depends on the bounce because I felt like this could go in. And it was such an incredible shot. But that whole arena there at the 13th hole, when you walk up, I never had been to a Montreal Canadiens game, but I felt like I was in an arena because it was that loud. I couldn't hear anything in my ears as they're just cheering on you and Mackenzie Hughes walking up to the green. Mackenzie Hughes makes that putt, game over in that match. It just an incredible day.
Yeah, overall, it was really cool. It's such a fun team to be a part of. They've created a great culture in that international team. And obviously the American U.S. team is pretty solid. So they're not easy to beat. But
yeah,
it was a fun week. Mike did a great job, and being able to experience some of those things was pretty neat. And the feeling after Friday where we swept the foursomes, tough to beat, but it takes a lot out of you that week. There's a lot of golf and a lot of energy expelled, club twirling and whatever. But it was a lot of fun. But too bad we couldn't get over the finish line.
How many days after the President's Cup did you finally feel like you were back to 100%? Because I imagine the physical, challenge of that entire week, and then the mental challenge as well, just of how much you're pouring into every single shot. I mean, was it a full week later where you're finally just back to like, okay, I can go out and play golf and not be exhausted?
Yeah, pretty much. Definitely, 4 or 5 days after, try and mentally recover is the big thing. There's a lot of highs and lows that week, and it's pretty draining mentally. But was able to get home the following week and hang out with my wife and daughter, and kind of get back to a little bit of normal life, but try and recover a little bit.
And rightfully so. I mean, one little thing I'll say about you and Mackenzie Hughes is I got to watch you guys play both sessions of alternate shot, and I was thinking in my head, I was like, okay, Corey Conners has 2 wins. What are we going to do to get him to 3? And my idea for you is, I think you should register it for the next event as either Mackenzie Conners or Corey Hughes, because I think that combination and you two were just unbelievable. I just can't describe the chemistry that you guys had that week and on that golf course.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We partner up all the time, pretty much every Tuesday in practice rounds. So we've got lots of experience playing matches together. But the alternate shot's it's a little tougher to kind of find your rhythm, but I feel like being so close and knowing each other so well, it was as if I was hitting the shot. And like, I'm sure when he was watching me, he was right into it, and he knew where it was going to go. I knew where, his shots were going to go. And, I knew he was making putts, and
he was making some putts, man. And even that bunker shot, Corey, on 12, that ball was for the last 5 feet. I'm watching Mackenzie because I saw the ball like 5 feet out, and I'm thinking it's going to go in. So I go pan and I watch Mackenzie. I'm like, is he thinking it's going in? And he's like tiptoeing, and his eyes are so big. And then he goes in, fist pumps, trips over the mic we had next to the green. It just the most chaotic scene watching all of the international. There's a bunch of y'all's team that was right there, and Mac's going crazy, you're going crazy. You can't, that's why this event and just any match play with countries involved, and seeing all the emotions come out of guys that, typically on a bunker shot like that, Mackenzie would normally be like, yeah, tip cap. But international President's Cup, so good.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I feel like, my personality is pretty dull and never get too high, too low, but just something about that event, you make a big putt and you just lose control, and your emotions come out of you. So I had a few more fist bumps than I've had in my career probably that week. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to watching you next year. Are you going to play much this fall, Corey, or are you just going to see you in 2025?
Yeah, not too much. Looking forward to the Grant Thornton event, playing with Brooke Henderson again.
Oh, great.
This year in December. Nothing else on the tour schedule. Gonna go over to South Africa for the Nedbank in December as well. So I got a couple months off here. My wife is due with a new baby next few weeks. So
God, you're on the clock. We got Charlie as well. So that's really great stuff. So Corey, I appreciate you coming on, especially with the baby on the way. And one on the way out, Corey, can you give me one thing? Can you give me one question for Taylor Pendrith? What do we have to ask him?
I just played golf with him this morning in the rain. It was quite fun. Got the rust off. But,
is there anything that we have just got to know about Taylor Pendrith that screams, hey man, you got to ask him about that freshman year decision that he made at Kent State, or anything on the road that comes to mind?
We had some good times together. I guess ask him about. You can ask him about a Christmas party that we went to, and what we wore.
Is this at Kent State?
So,
is this at Kent State? Okay. Yeah. All right. We're gonna open up with that. So, all right. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate it very much, and look forward to seeing you down the road, man.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks for having me. Take care.
All right, we got another Canadian golfer joining us here, Taylor Pendrith. We just had Corey Conners on, Taylor, and I left the conversation with Corey, and I said, Corey, give me something to ask Taylor Pendrith. And it took him a second. He's like, all right, you need to ask him what we dressed up as at Kent State. I believe it was for Halloween is what he said. So can you enlighten us on what this outfit was?
Oh, that's what he came up with. There's Halloween at Kent was unbelievable.
Really?
Actually. Oh yeah. It was a wild time, but we had a couple good ones. I mean, I'm sure the one he's referencing is Trailer Park Boys. If you know that show. If you don't know that show, you should watch it. It's unreal. Yeah, I was Ricky and Corey was Bubbles. I'm assuming that's the one he's talking about. The other time we did, actually, I don't know if Corey was there for that, but we were like a breakfast sandwich. I was like a piece of bacon, and that was an egg. But the Trailer Park Boys, I'm sure, is the one he's referencing.
Yeah, I'm seeing this. Did you do the? I've seen the show before. I've never watched it in full, but I'm looking at Ricky here. Were you Ricky?
I was Ricky. Yeah.
Did you do the sideburn thing? Did you do
had a smoke going? Yeah, it was good.
I mean, what was Kent State like? I know you, Mackenzie, and Corey all went up there, but I don't think I've ever asked anybody what Kent State, that college experience is like.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I loved it. I had a great time. I mean, it was close-ish to home, and the golf program was obviously really strong for a school that far north, and we had a really fun time. Yeah. The facility that we had was world-class, and we had lots of fun as well at the school. It was a good time. The three of us had a fantastic time at school.
Yeah. So you're all right. So you're 33. Mackenzie is 33. Corey's 32. So did you and Mackenzie come in the same class, and then Corey was 1 year behind? Does that sound right?
No. So I actually skipped a year after high school because I wasn't that good at golf.
Okay.
So I just practiced that year in Canada and then was recruited. So I came in with Corey. He's a year younger than me. And then Mac's a year older than me, but he was 2 years ahead in school. I think he was at Kent when he was like 17 or something. But yeah, so I came in with Corey. Yeah, we were roommates for 4 years.
Man, you got to dive into that for me now. So what was your junior golf experience like? If, when you finished up, what did you do right after high school? So you just went and practiced for a year and then got recruited. And then next thing you know, you're at Kent State playing college golf.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Yeah. I didn't really play junior golf. I never played in a tournament until I was like 16.
Wow.
And I know I needed to play in some of the bigger Ontario events and Canadian events. And so I decided to take a year off after high school and work on my game. I was working at Golf Town, which is like Golf Galaxy in the US, and changing grips and selling irons and wedges and doing all that. And then Herb Page found me at a tournament, and I went down for a visit. I had a couple other visits booked and went to Kent and loved it. I mean, it was the perfect fit. So that's how I ended up there. Yeah.
Did you know Corey or Mackenzie at all, just from the junior circuit?
Not really. No, I mean, like I knew their names obviously because they were way more elite than I was at that age. But the first time I met Corey, we played in like an Ontario junior better ball together. Our coach, he was on the national team and I was working with the national team coach, and he said, you guys should play together. And that was the first time I ever met him. That was probably like the summer before we were going to school. So, like I said, I didn't really play in those big junior events like those guys did. So I obviously knew their names, but didn't know them that well. And that was the first time I played with Corey. And then, we ended up 4 years roommates together, and still very close with him. And
that's so interesting, man. I didn't know that about you. And I think that doesn't surprise me either, because when I watch you play over the years, you strike me as a person that always has just had just the raw ability to have these superpowers in this game, your ability to hit it long. You've had a great season on the greens with the putter. Is the game just for you always just been something like, be able to pick it up at 16 and then somehow be able to progress into a collegiate golfer and then, be a winner on the PGA Tour? I mean, you've made some leaps and bounds here from when you were 17 years old here, Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved sports. I played hockey and baseball at like a very high level and wanted to be a baseball player like my whole life. And then picked up golf kind of late and, always, I guess, had the raw ability to hit the ball far. I was a good pitcher in baseball, could hit a good hitter, had a good slap shot in hockey. So I was always like powerful. And I don't know, picked up a golf club and was able to hit the ball further than all my friends and didn't really think anything of it. And, but then got a little bit more serious into golf when I was, 17, 18, and then the year off that I took after high school and got, pretty good at it, good enough to get me a scholarship to a school in the States. And still the first, 2-3 years probably of school, I didn't have any ambitions of being a pro golfer, really. I mean, I knew I was good, but I don't think I believed that I was good enough, and I think the coaches there really, made me a better player and taught me how to actually play the game of golf. And they knew that I was talented for sure, but needed to learn how to score the golf ball a little bit better. And they did a great job. And then, I had a couple wins in college, and my junior and senior year, I had some really good finishes and was honorable mention All-American, and then kind of believed that maybe I should, give pro golf a try. And I guess that's how it happened.
Well, you and I both turned pro in 2014. So how about that? So why don't you just give me just a snapshot or spark notes of all that you can remember from 2014, 2024. So that'd be 10 years as a pro. So to where you are now, right? So you're playing President's Cups, winning on the PGA Tour. This just didn't happen overnight. And from talking to Matt Broom, your agent, he had mentioned to me that this is the first full year that you really have been injury-free. Was it injury-prone throughout the 10 years, or was it a learning development at the beginning, injuries along the way, and then you're just kind of getting into a groove here at, I guess, 33 years old?
Yeah, a bit of everything, I guess. I mean, 2015 was my first, I guess, full year as a pro, and I played on the Mackenzie Tour and finished third. I only played 8 events because I parlayed some Corn Ferry starts, top 25s, and finished second, I think 3 or 4 times that year, and was feeling great. Got Corn Ferry status, went out there, finished 4th in Bogota, which was like the 2nd or 3rd event of the year.
Yep, I remember that one.
I was flying. I was, feeling good, playing good, and had an injury in my wrist that year. And I think I played maybe 13 or 14 weeks in a row. You know how it is out there.
Gosh, it's unbelievable. The most golf you ever play. You'll find out if you like playing pro golf or not, just playing 15 in a row.
Yeah, I think I missed like 11 cuts in a row and was hurt and not playing good, and lost status. Didn't play really much in 17 or 18. Wasn't sure what I was going to do. Played a little Mackenzie Tour. Back to Mackenzie Tour full time in 19. Was healthy that year, feeling great. Had 2 wins. Got Corn Ferry status again. I was out there, played great. Pretty much injury free in 2020. COVID year happened. Had to stay out there another year, which was tough. I mean, they gave us the alternate field events, which was good, and the US Open. So that was fun, but had to stay out there another year as opposed to graduating right away. And then been on tour, the last 3 years. It's my end of my 3rd year this year. And I've had some battles. I had a broken rib my rookie year, missed 4 months. This year, at the beginning of the year, my shoulder was, really bothering me. I wasn't sure if I was going to play or get it fixed, and got PRP injections, and it's been seeming to be holding up pretty well. So, and then, just finished President's Cup last week. So it's been a journey, man. It's been a grind,
man. So just in that, and when I hear all of that, the years that I really want to just ask one more question about is 17, 18. So coming off of that wrist injury, you lose status, and you said that you didn't know what you're going to do. So I imagine that what kept you going was your really solid golf, and that knowing that you could do it, but still the anxiousness and not knowing what was in front of you and whether you're going to be able to make it in pro golf and onto the PGA Tour. I'm sure those questions loomed pretty largely in your own head, trying to figure out what the next steps were. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, there was definitely times during that period where, I didn't know if I was going to play golf. Didn't know if I always thought I was good enough if I was healthy. But it had been, and I had proven that in 2015, but it's tough, man. Like it's such a grind, and everybody's so good. And like, that you're good enough when that your good golf is good enough, but it's hard to do it all the time. And especially throw some injuries. It's tricky to perform at your best, playing hurt. And I'm watching, all my buddies, Corey and Mac, they're on the PGA Tour winning events, and I play with them a lot and know that, if I play good, I'm as good as them. So it was a grind, man. It was a battle. And then finally getting out to the PGA Tour, everybody's, you're a 30-year-old rookie. I'm like, hey, I'd rather be a rookie at 30 than a rookie ever. So whatever. Everybody's journey is different, and I've had to grind pretty hard up and down on different levels of the tour. So it's I'm happy that I stuck with it, because it's paid off, and it's been a really fun ride.
I think most players too, when you just talk about a player, whether it's just bar talk and you're like, if I had mentioned Taylor Pendrith, I think the first thing that would come out of most people's mouths would say Canadian, hits it far. But when I think the thing that shocked me just doing some research on you, Taylor, was, looking at the first 2 years, that kind of fit the profile of who you were as a golfer looking at the stats. But this past year, I was blown away at how good your putting stats were. You're 7th in putting. For you, what was the big change this year? Why were the putts falling? Was it something that you changed in your setup or your stroke, putters? I always am interested to see why guys make a huge jump from in a category.
I guess statistically, for my whole career, that's probably been the weakest part of my game, is on the greens. And I switched to a center shafted putter 2 years ago, maybe. I think it was my second year on tour I switched to it, and I don't know my stats from last year on putting, but I felt like I putted better, and I felt like I was,
making progress,
I guess, close to putting good. But I haven't really changed. I changed putters for this year. I'm using a Jailbird, center shafted Jailbird, and I've been doing the same stuff though, same drills, really, I guess, putting a little bit more work in on like the speed of the greens each week, and really trying to dial that in, which I think has helped a lot in my feel, and 3 putts, trying to, obviously avoid those is huge. But yeah, I've been doing the same stuff. I think just, getting a little bit more confidence with the putter and seeing some putts fall early. and seeing some putts fall in big moments can go a long way for the confidence. But I haven't really changed my practice or preparation. I've been doing the same stuff that I've been doing for 10 years. But new putter, I mean, yeah, that putter seems to be working good this year.
Well, when you start hitting that start line, that definitely makes a big difference when it starts kind of freeing up the rest of your game, right? When you can hit it to 20 feet, feel like you can make a putt, that definitely makes a difference. And when I look at your results too this year, Taylor, you have 6 top 10s on the year. And I think that speaks highly to, what a hot putter can do for a guy, that when you're able to make putts, you turn those, 25th to 30th place finishes into top 10s. And that's what it seemed like your good golf this year. You found a way to get yourself in position more often than not in the last 4 or 5 tee times on Sundays. I think, would you credit that to just your overall game just being that much better and just getting a little bit more confidence? Yeah,
definitely. I think, the second half of the season, I've played a lot of really solid golf, and nothing was spectacular, but everything was really solid. I wasn't driving the ball great at the beginning of the year, and that was really bothering me. And I switched shafts in Houston, and I was swinging a little slower then with my shoulder, and then it progressively kept getting better and better. And the second half of the season, I was driving it, how I was the previous 2 years, and felt really good with it, could swing hard at it. And so the driving improved. The irons were just steady, solid. If I hit it good that week, I would likely have a good finish because, my putting was pretty solid all year, really. But yeah, I think my whole game overall was just really steady and solid this year. And then you mix in, a really good putting week, and you got a top 10 or a top 5. So, it's been, I've had a lot of really, really solid results, man, this year. And it's been awesome. I wasn't in the big events at the beginning of the year. And then after I won in Dallas, I got in the 3 remaining ones, and a couple majors, and was able to play some pretty solid golf in those events. So, and then the last 3 playoff events were good as well. So, been a really cool year. Yeah. I didn't expect it at the start of the year. But obviously happy that I'm here.
Yeah, a lot of great things ahead for you, Taylor. Playing in your first Masters next year, like you said, winning at Byron Nelson. You finished 14th at the FedEx Cup, which also comes with a nice chunk of change. So a lot of really positive things for you, Taylor. And as we kind of get towards the end of this conversation, I mean, we got to talk some President's Cup, right? I mean, you got the International Shield shirt, you're still repping the black and gold. So let's talk a little bit about this week. And that second half of the year, I think the most impressive thing, Taylor, you just mentioned how well you're playing, is playing well knowing that, you have Mike Weir checking your stats, your score hole by hole every single day, and you're able to just, make it to where you became an obvious pick at the end. It was a no doubter, and I think you got to give yourself a lot of credit for how well you played to make that team.
Yeah. Thanks, Smylie. Yeah, it's we had a team dinner actually in Dallas that week. And I think it was on Tuesday night, and just really inspired me. And, Mike said he believes somebody in this room is going to win this week. And I ended up winning, and it was pretty cool. Mike was texting me throughout the week, and, texted me Sunday morning or Saturday night, and just gave me some nice words, and was able to get it done, which was really cool. And then, I played really steady the rest of the year, and it was definitely on my mind. It was, I'd played the one in Charlotte, but this one I knew was going to be a bit different. And playing in Canada under Mike Weir, legend, one of my heroes, somebody I really look up to, and it was a big one for me. And the week last week was awesome. Obviously, it's not the result our team wanted, but it was some really cool moments. And Friday is a day that it's the most fun I've probably ever had on the golf course, and I think it's the most fun the spectators ever had on a golf course. It was a really cool day.
I think it was the most fun I've ever had on a golf course as an on-course commentator. I mean, it was just electric. I was just spoke with Corey. We had Mackenzie earlier on this year, and I told Corey, I was like, you want to get your third win, you just need to enter the field as Corey Hughes or Mackenzie Conners, because you two just need to play alternate shot and just pursue a career in that, because you two were unbelievable.
Yeah, they were dialed. I know. It was cool, man. Like that Friday day. I mean, Thursday we got smoked, obviously, on the score.
It was closer, though. It was closer.
Closer, yeah. Me and Bez took him to 18, and it could have gone either way. I think there's 2 other matches that went to 18, and afterwards on Thursday, like obviously our team's disappointed because we didn't get a point. But the bus ride back was electric, and Bussy, if you know Bussy, he was just getting the boys going, and trying to have keep the spirits high, and it was a really fun bus ride. We went home and then we came back Friday, and everybody was pumped up to play and to play hard, and we were able to flip it on Friday, which was so cool.
And it was such a fun day, man. It was
I
fun
don't
to
think
watch.
anybody really expected it, but we thought we could do it. But everybody, I guess, had kind of written us off after day one. But it was sweet. It was really, really cool day.
Yep, and I think the last thing I'm going to ask you about this President's Cup, I mean, you got to partner up with Adam Scott. Guy's a legend, man. How cool is it just teeing it up? And then every now and then you had to just kind of pinch yourself, right? I mean, it's Adam Scott.
It was so cool. Yeah, it was. Well, when we were in Montreal a couple weeks before, and he was going to be one of my potential pairings. I mean, the guy is an absolute legend. He's, the President's Cup means so much to him. He's played in so many, and we played alternate shot a couple weeks ago, and we did really nicely. And I thought we were going to be a really good pair. And, I think he was pumped up to play with me, and I certainly was pumped to play with him. And we went out Friday and we did really nice, man. Like we were vibing, we were on, and it was really cool. That day he got that win, made him the most winningest player in history, and it was my first point. So it's something I'll always remember. And then I got to play with him all day Saturday, which was really cool. And I felt terrible. I did not have my best stuff Saturday morning and was hitting some horrible shots, and he played really, really nicely. But we went out Saturday afternoon and were able to, get the match under control, and we were vibing again. And I think we were maybe 5 under through 12 or something that day, and we were going pretty good, and was able to limp into another win on Saturday afternoon. But yeah, he's such a cool dude, man. Like he wants it. He wants to win so badly, but he is just like, I don't know, the nicest guy, and wants you to do well, and just the energy he brings is awesome. So I had a blast playing 3 rounds with him. It was really cool.
So Adam Scott's 44 years old. Do you think you're going to have that kind of speed when you're 44?
No chance.
Dude smashes it, right?
If I'm golfing when I'm 44, I'll be happy. Yeah, I know. He bombs it. Yeah, he bombs it. His short game, though, was very impressive. I put him in some seriously awkward spots in some of the rounds, and he was able to, flop it up to 3 feet. It was impressive. His overall game's unreal, but he bombs it. Yeah.
It's so impressive. It's a flatter ball flight, and he likes turning it over right to left. It's something that you just don't see a whole lot anymore. You just see mostly fades and ball way up in the air, and Adam hits this flat bullet, and you're just like, how? I don't even know how to get a setting of a driver to do that. I'd have to put it so far back in my stance to get that fat flight.
And his swing's perfect, so it's nice to watch all day.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy, too. He's got all the advantages, this guy.
Yeah.
Well, Taylor, I know you and I both have kids, about a kid, I should say, at the same age. You got one turning 2 soon. How's it been being a father on the road?
Oh, it's been awesome, man. It's been, they travel pretty much every week, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I would never see them, and it's I feel like these times are something you don't want to miss. And he's such a good boy, and we're having a really fun time. I just got done playing in puddles for the last 2 hours, and it's the happiest he's ever been. It seemed, he just loves it. It's pouring rain here in Florida, and we were just outside jumping in puddles. So
there you go.
Brought a big smile to my face. But yeah, they're to have them on the road means a lot, and I wouldn't want it any other way. It's been challenging at the beginning for sure, but now it's you have a bad day on the course, you come home to my wife and son, and it just brings a smile on your face, and you
always
golf. It's great.
Great perspective. And Taylor, thank you for your time, man. And I think the last thing I'm going to ask you here is since we just had Corey on, he mentioned that you two played golf this morning. Who won the match?
There was some questionable shots out there. It was kind of a rainy, brutal day, but we actually didn't play a match, but I think I would have got him probably.
Okay. All right. Taylor Pendrith gets a point here for the internationals in Canada. Corey Conners not earning a point in the match this morning, but I'm already looking forward to Chicago, Medina in 2 years. I know the internationals want to take a shot and try to take down that tough American lineup, but it was fun watching you, Taylor, play all 5 up in Canada, and looking forward to seeing you the rest of the year, man. Appreciate your time.
Right on. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Smylie.
All right, buddy. See you.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our lovely fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people of YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the